there, I'm Kathleen McGivern, and we're going to be talking about what cones are when it comes to ceramics or clay, or you're firing your ceramics and you might be like wondering what are cones. So we're going to dive into what cones are when it comes to ceramics. We're going to talk about what the numbers represent in terms of firing, and there is a very big difference between low temperature, medium temperature, and high temperature. So let's dive on into this episode and talk about what cones are when it comes to ceramics. Let's get inspired. Alright, so when it comes to cones represent the different temperatures you fire your kiln at. So typically there is low temperature, there is medium temperature, and there is high temperature. And you're going to fire to either low temperature, medium temperature, or high temperature depending on your art making process. And depending on the type of clay you are using. So for instance, I typically use medium fire clay. So that is ranging, I think around like cone 3 to cone 6. And then high temperatures like cone 8, 9, 10, or 11 or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, it's in that ballpark. And then low temperature is in the 06 range. So like 03, 04, 05, 06. That would be a low temperature clay. Now 06, cone 06, and cone 6, or cone 05 and cone 5, cone 05, cone 5 are not the same thing. Now, if you're wondering what I'm holding in these boxes, if you only use an electric kiln that has a digital, like a digital electric kiln, then I believe, I haven't used one of them in like 15 years, 12 years? Yeah, since 2011, 2010, 2011, yeah, 2011 anyways. So anyways, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, in a digital kiln, you program your cones, I believe it is. So you type in cone 06 or cone 6. And then in a manual kiln like I have, which is why I have cones, like legit cones, this is why it's called cones. Because if you're using a digital one and you're like, what is a cone? It just means the temperature you're firing at. But it represents these little guys, or this one's a much bigger version. And I'll talk about why I have two different kinds in a little bit. It looks like this. This is the normal size that you put in your kiln, and this would be a witness version. And I'll talk about that. Don't worry. So the cones are these, and they represent the temperatures that you're firing to. Now, it also could be that you're firing for a process. So for instance, even though I have medium fire clay, it means I'm firing to cone 6 to complete my work. I will do two firings, right? So I'm going to do a bisque fire. So I'm going to fire to a low fire temperature, so that way it's firm. Then I'll add some glaze on it. I can paint it. And then I'll fire a second time to cone 6 to fully mature the clay in the ceramic process. So that is one reason you might do low firing or multiple firings. Another thing is you might do overglazes. So you might do 3 firings or fire decals onto your pieces. So you might do a low fire to take it from being clay or dirt into a ceramic form. Then you might fire it up, you might glaze it, underglaze it, whatever. Then you're going to fire a second time to get it to maturity in the process. So for instance, maybe it's cone 6, 06 again, or if you're doing medium fire, it'd be 06. If you're doing high fire, you'll take it to that temperature that you would like. And then you're going to fire that second time. And then if you're doing any overglazes, any lusters, any decals, you might fire it a third time. Now, a decal might be at a low temperature or at a low temperature. So it could be like 06, but it also could be like an 018, 019, depending on the decal or the transfer image. That would be dependent on the instructions provided. And then something like an overglaze or a luster would be, I think, well, luster for sure. Luster's around 018, I believe, 019, which is very, 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 very low temperature. So low temperatures, the way it's going to go from 018, 019 to work its way up through 017, 010, 06, 02, 01, and then it's gonna get into the medium fire range. Then we're gonna go into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to cone 10, cone 11, which would be high fire. So that's how it works. It goes from 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it goes 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, all the way to cone 018. And that would be how you range your cones. And each one is going to melt at a different point. So each one's going to melt at a different point. So it will determine your firing time. So it will bend at exactly 90 degrees when your temperature that you want is reached. And that is going to shut off your kiln. So for instance, and I will show you in a second, in a manual kiln, it will be sitting in a kiln sitter between 3 prongs. So there's 3 prongs, and I'm going to show you in a second. That look like this, and they're normally like this, but they're going to be setting this in between. So you'll have 3 prongs holding your cone like that, and then it's going to bend into a 90 degrees when your kiln reaches temperature, which is going to cause the kiln sitter to drop, and it will turn off your kiln. It's going to release the latch that's holding it in place for power on, essentially, and it'll turn off. So that is what in a manual kiln, and I'll show you on mine because I have a manual kiln. I don't have a digital, so I can't show you anything. But I'll show you on Scott's website, just as an example. But the manual kiln will turn off, and it will release the latch on the back. It'll go boop, and it'll literally drop, and then it's off, power off. There's nothing running it anymore. And now if your cone fails, at least on my manual, there is an emergency thing, so you will put the dial in for how long you want to fire, how long you think it should be, and then it will turn off as a backup, just in case the cone fails, which I've never had happen, but that's what that's for. So it doesn't keep firing and melt everything in there. So anyway, so that is our cones. So we have our cones. They represent, again, the temperature you fire to. Now, there are 2 different types of cones. So we're going to take a look at that. Actually, before we do that, let's take a look inside the kiln. Okay, so this is the inside of my kiln. It's old, so I know there's a coil coming out, but you'll see right there, that is my kiln sitter. Right there. Okay, and you can see that this one has already been, I guess I had my fingers the wrong way. Been fired. That has been fired to temperature, so you can see it has bent, and it has turned off the kiln. So I'll put in one that, I'm gonna put in a new cone, to show you what that looks like. So I'm gonna have the cone, I'm gonna let it drop, and whatever way it drops is the way we're gonna, put it into it. So I'm gonna stand it up, I'm gonna let it drop, and this is the way it goes into your kiln. Okay, so I have it, I'm not holding the thing on the back, but imagine it goes in, We're gonna put it in, and it's gonna look like that. Then, it's gonna fire, and then it's gonna do the bending thing. Once that reaches the temperature we want, these are 2 different kinds of cones. This one's for medium fire, that's just a low fire. That's the color difference for you. It means, it's just to help you identify them. So once this reaches temperature, it's going to bend, and you'll hear it'll drop like that, and it's going to shut off your kiln. And then when you open it, once it's fully cooled, do not open your kiln until that process has happened. You will damage yourself, you will damage the art, it might crack, it might craze. We don't need that. So you're going to leave it in there days until it's completely cool, and then it's going to look like this when you're done, because it has bent, and I want it to be in like a nice sort of 45 to 90 degree angle. Sorry, I'm too close to my camera. Like that. Now on the other side of mine, this is what it looks like on the other side. So here is my backup timer to, this is my backup timer. It's going to go off just in case. I'm going to set it just in case my cone fails. But this is what's going to be holding it. So once I put the cone in, this is my emergency. This will turn off my kiln once it reaches temperature. So I'll have this, and this will be down because the cone will be in there and it'll be holding it. And then the cone will bend and this valve is up and it turns. So there are two different kinds of cones. There are the normal cones that go in your kiln, and they are the small cones. Now again, if you're using a digital kiln, I don't think you buy these. Okay, you don't buy these ones, but I'll talk about the other ones in a second. You'll just program, you'll type in 05 or 5. Again, 05 is low temperature, 5 is not. Now you do not ever want to, if you have low fire clay and you put it in your kiln and you fire it to cone 5 or cone 6 instead of 06 or 05, you will open your kiln and all the ceramic pieces in there will be flat melted to the kiln shelf as though they were liquid, because you've overfired it to the wrong temperature. And no, you will not get that off your kiln shelf. It's done. You're gonna throw out all that. So just be very aware. You need to understand that the 0 in front is making it cooler. And we want to, if you have low fire clay, you need to make sure that you only fire to the temperatures for that. So like 05 or 06. That is important. Okay, so this is a normal cone if you're doing manual. So this one's an 05, and they might all look different depending on the brand. These are Orton cones. This is 05. Now, this one is cone 5. I leave them in the boxes like this because I don't want them to get accidentally mixed up. Now, they do have stampings in them. Sorry, these ones haven't been broken apart. They came together. Ugh! See, they're together. I actually feel like this was a manufacturing issue. Okay, here's the cone 5. And you can see it's a different color to help you identify it just in case. It has a stamp in it that says number 5. This one has a stamp in it that says 05. I say oh, it's 05. 05. And this is what they look like. They're the exact same. The difference is big because one is going to fire to medium fire and one is going to fire to low fire. And these are normal cones, and this goes in your kiln to use as for the kiln setter to turn it off. That is his job at the right temperature. Now, we're going to talk about the next thing, which is my question for you. What questions do you have when it comes to cones in ceramics or firing your kilns? Please let me know in the comment section below the video. I will try my best to help you, or at least point you to the right direction. So if you have any questions about cones or temperature firing, then post them down in the description below and I will do my best to help you out. All right, so number 3 we're going to talk about is witness cones. You most likely haven't heard of this, especially if you're not a professional potter or you're not, that was probably it. But these are called witness cones. This is a very old box that, guide cones or witness cones, either one. But these, don't worry about how old mine are. I got them donated because I still use a manual kiln. Now they're much bigger. So these do not go in your kiln. These ones are designed to put with a piece of clay, and then you're going to get one to help you confirm the temperature, right? So you're gonna get one for the temperature you're firing at. You're gonna get one for the temperature above and one for temperature below the firing temperature that you want for the typical firing that you do. Okay, so then you're gonna get a piece of clay. This is just some porcelain because it's so sexy. Oh, it feels so nice. Nice little bit of porcelain. You're like, that's what porcelain is? Yeah. So nice. Okay, here's my porcelain. It doesn't have to be porcelain. I just happen to have a bag of porcelain open. And I don't want to open up a new box of other stuff. And I'm going to do that thing where I stick it on the table. I want to see what way it falls. Okay, it fell this way, so I want to put it into my clay the way it fell. And I'm going to stand it up. Then I'm going to get one for the temperature above, one for the temperature I fire at, slightly slanted, like that. One for the temperature below, and I'm going to stick it into my clay like this. I know you think I'm crazy right now. I'm not, I swear. I mean, I am a little bit crazy. This is not a cool thing to do in the air. Okay, now I got my cones like this. So cool. I got my little boat, I got my little cones, and you might be like wondering, what is the absolute purpose of this? All right, so Kathleen, you already have a cone in your kiln. We know when it's gonna turn off. The purpose of these, number one, some kilns don't have a kiln sitter. So like if you're raku firing, if you have a gas kiln, if you have a wood fire kiln, you don't have a kiln sitter, I don't think. Some kilns don't have kiln sitters. If you made your kiln, you don't have a kiln sitter. So therefore, you need to look inside the kiln through a peephole. That's that little hole on the outside that are covered by, oh gosh, I don't have any. I broke all mine that came with my kiln, just FYI, my promise. When you take out these guys, or if you open up the little latch if you're in a gas kiln, these guys, and you're gonna look through it, and you cannot guess, well, you kind of can guess the temperature it is at, or you can take a pyrometer, you can stick it in there and measure the temperature, or you can have this in front of the peephole, and you're gonna open it up because it doesn't have it has maybe a temperature gauge, but maybe you just want to confirm the temperature. This is for confirming temperatures. You look at it and you can see if it's been melted the where you want to go, right? So you can have this one should be flat, right? Because it's been overfired. This one should be at the 90 degrees, right? And this one should be not bendy or just slightly bendy, like a wand. Slightly bendy! And then that that way we know the temperature it's been fired to. The other thing is that we're gonna put this in a kiln. It could be your digital kiln, it could be your manual kiln. You're gonna pop it in there and you're gonna put it in front of the peepholes so you can take a look at it and see how close you are to completing your firing. Also, I know my husband always is like, why do you call it firing? Because some kilns use fire. I know mine's electric, but that's where the name came from. Just like cones, I'm not saying temperature, I'm saying cones because some people at one point use cones. It is what it is. The name sticks for the process. Anyways, this goes in there. Also, to confirm that your kiln is firing correctly. We want to make sure that the kiln is firing correctly. So that way, if you have any problems with your kiln, you can know if it's firing to the right temperature, right? You're also gonna know if it's overfiring, because that's a big bad problem. And I've had a problem where my coils have gone, right? They burnt out after a while. So therefore, it will tell me if I'm underfiring, right? This guy here never bends, the middle guy, the temperature I want. If it never bends, that means I'm underfiring, right? Because if this low temperature one is firing to the right, if it's bending 90 degrees, I have a problem, and these two are standing up straight. I know I'm underfiring, my kiln's not firing to its fullest potential, and I'm gonna have underfired clay. Or if I'm overfiring, well, I'm gonna have a big melty problem. Now, you might also be having two sets, right? One at the top of your kiln, one at the bottom, especially if you have a very big kiln or a large kiln or a gas kiln. Then you might have multiple sets of these throughout it to see if your kiln is firing evenly through the kiln. So, I mean, that's especially if you're doing a large kiln, then you'll know. Witness cones, also confirming temperatures that your kiln's firing at the right temperature, or to right temperature, or evenly. I got there eventually. Oh yeah, the clay you stick it in needs to be the temperature you're firing to, right? Because if you're firing medium fire, but you're like, oh, I have a bunch of low fire clay I want to use up, and I'm going to stick my witness cones in there. Well, now, again, if you put that low fire clay and you're firing it to medium temperature, it's going to be melty soup all over your kiln shelf. Bye-bye kiln shelf, and if it runs on the other works, bye-bye works. All right, so to reaffirm, we have cones. Maybe you might be using a legit cone if you are using, grabbing my little cones here, if you're using a manual kiln, you'll have a legit cone, right? And it will be pointy, nice and straight, and then it will be sad and soft. So erect versus soft at the end of your firing. And that will be, that's what happens to your, yeah, I'm not even gonna go there with that metaphor, but you can see where I'm going. And so that will be your cones. And then that's your normal cones, or you're programming it, but that is what cones represent, is a real cone. It's the shape of a cone. Actually, I think it's more of a pyramid, but cone. And it represents your temperature. That's what cones are, your temperature that you're firing to, and of your clay. And also, they might be to confirm your temperature, in this case, with witness cones or guide cones, however you want to call them. All right, my friend, that is it for this episode. If you want any recommendations for cones, for legit cones that you need, or any other ceramics books or resources and tools, you can check out my favorite ones in the description of this video. I have some links to my favorite ones on Amazon. Do note that they are Amazon affiliate links. That means that if you purchase anything that I've suggested, I do get a small commission for it. I just like to be honest up front. But those are my favorite ones in the description of the video. Your next video to watch is how to clean up after oil painting. You can find that video link above or in the description below the video. Please like and subscribe to this channel. At 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be painting an acrylic painting of a man eating cupcake, like a legit artwork, not just like some silly thing just for a challenge, like a legit artwork of a man eating cupcake. So if you want to see that video, please make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel to help me get to 1,000 subscribers, because I do subscribe for a cupcake. I'm not giving you a real cupcake, but I'm going to make you an artwork of a cupcake if you subscribe. And that is it for this episode. Again, if you have any questions or comments about cones or temperatures or firing, please let me know in the comment section, and I will do my best to help you out. And I will see you in the next